Hi, so today I'm cooking a lamb curry inspired by my friend Sandy, aka the Spice Guy. Now Sandy, a couple of days ago, dropped off this brown packet filled with a mixture of spices. Now I have used this spice mix before, so I know the outcome is going to be fantastic. I'm going to show you how I do my lamb curry. My parents love it, and I'm pretty sure that you're going to love it too. So the first thing we're going to do is debone this leg of lamb. Now you will need a really sharp knife to do this properly. So I have my red chopping board here. Now if you don't like blood, guys, look away. Run my knife, a really sharp knife along the bone, and just cutting through the muscle and the sinew, just trying to find that bone so I can take a nice big chunk off of this. Remember that massive piece of lamb that I had at the beginning? This is all the meat that I managed to get off of it. So I've managed to get off some of the fat. I've left some of the fat on because, like I say, the fat is where the taste is. Also as well, some of the muscle tendons I've managed to get rid of as well. I do have the leg left, which I'm going to make a stock from rather than use it in this curry because I have got loads and loads of lamb here. Now the next thing I need to do is brown this lamb off. Now, because the lamb is quite fatty, I'm not going to use a lot of oil, but I am going to use just a little tiny bit, just to get things starting. So that's probably about a teaspoon, maybe just over a teaspoon. And then I'm going to brown my lamb in batches now. All I'm trying to do is sear or seal the meat and get it to caramelize ever so slightly, and then I can pop it into my pressure cooker, ready for the rest of the ingredients. That's my second batch of lamb now caramelized and seared or sealed, and I'm just going to pop that into my pressure cooker. In here has got all that flavor, so I'm going to keep this, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to fry my onions in here next. So I'm going to add about a tablespoon and a half, maybe 2 tablespoons of oil. Now I am cooking a lot of onions. I am batch cooking, and this lamb should be enough realistically for about 6 to 8 portions. And I'm just going to scrape the bottom of this wok and get all of those lamb juices off the bottom. And I'm just going to fry these long enough until they've softened and slightly sweetened. So just as my onions are just starting to soften, I'm going to mince about a thumb-sized piece of ginger and add this in as well. Okay, so that's the ginger, just roughly minced. And my onions are just nicely softening now, so I'm going to get my ginger in at this point, just to cook through ever so slightly. And it's at this point I'm going to add just a little tiny pinch of salt. Now I find it easier to season as I go. 2, maybe 2.5 good pinches of salt. And you can see that they're going a nice golden brown now. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pour in my fried onions. So remember, they've got all those lovely lamb juices, and the ginger and the seasoning. Now at this point, guys, I'm going to add my seasoning. So I've yet to go, there's still loads to go in, but I want to make sure that this is well incorporated. Now I'm going to add about 3 large tablespoons of this seasoning mix. Remember, this is a pre-mixed seasoning. I'm not 100% sure what's in here because Sandy hasn't given me the recipe. I just know it's fantastic. So, okay, first tablespoon. And Sandy did say you can't use too much of it, so I'm going to make sure that the last one's a nice big tablespoon because I am cooking loads of curry here. Now I'm going to get my heat back on, just on low, and I'm just going to cook this out just for a couple of minutes, just while I'm prepping my other ingredients. So now for the tomatoes. Again, guys, you probably don't need to use this many if you're only cooking for like 3 or 4 people. I am cooking, like I say, I reckon there's enough here for at least 8. So I am going to use all of these tomatoes. So that's all of my tomatoes chopped roughly and stirred in. Okay, so I've just got a couple more ingredients to go into this. So the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to add my coconut milk. So this is coconut milk light. I'm going to use 2 tins. Like I say, this is going to be plenty for plenty of people. And then just before I put the other tin in, I'm just going to put in 1 of these of water. So in goes my water. Now you can use stock. I'm just using water. In fact, I'm going to save that a little bit there. So if I get that in there and just... So that's my coconut milk, 2 tins and 1 tin or 400 ml of water that's gone in as well now. So the next ingredient I'm going to add, which I didn't use last time, which I think is going to be quite nice, is that I'm going to chop some carrot and I'm going to keep them quite chunky, and I'm going to just chop these into quite big chunks because this is going to cook on the pressure cooker setting on low for about 90 minutes to 2 hours. And that's my carrot. So again, guys, what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to give this a really good stir. I'm going to turn the heat up ever so slightly and just bring this up to a simmer. Now, once I'm on a simmer and I'm happy that everything has been stirred around, I'll then get the lid on and start building that pressure and then cook it on low for about 90 minutes. And now I'm going to add my lid. So I've got to make sure it's in the closed position. Okay, lock it into place. All right, and there you go. You can see that the red button is popped up. The steam's coming from it. I can now turn my heat down and we'll pop back in around about 90 minutes or so. Curry's been cooking for about 90 minutes now to 2 hours. Hadn't realised actually these cookers actually auto power off, but we should be okay. So I'm just going to switch off the heat. And I'm just going to release some of this pressure now. Now the last thing I want to do is add some aubergine, because I do like aubergine in curries. This one has been sitting in the fridge for a good week and a bit so, but I think it should be okay. Red button is now dropped, so this should be safe to open now. So what I've got to do now, I've got to get this back up onto a simmer and let this reduce down by about half. This has been reducing now for about 40 minutes or so. So I'm just going to give it a quick stir and see how we're getting on. So we're not quite there yet, and it's reduced by maybe about a quarter so far. At this point, I am going to pop in my aubergine. So in go my aubergines. I'll give it a quick stir, pop my lid back on just so the steam can escape. And I'm just going to cover it with a cloth, hopefully, which will stop some of the splashage all over the place. Okay, finally the curry is nearly ready. To be quite honest, it could probably do with reducing a little bit more. I wanted to show you where we were at the moment. So I'll just get a nice big spoonful and a little bit of carrot. You can see we have a really nice bowl of curry. So I'm just going to give this a quick try. So this is my lamb curry using the Spice Guys own blend and seasoned just with a little bit of salt really. So it's such a good curry. And yes, you do have to be patient. and you do need to cook. I mean, that lamb is so tender, but lovely. Okay, guys, go and check out The Spice Guy. You can find him on social media. And thank you again, Sandy, for my little parcel that you left for me the other day. Speak soon.